Remember what I told you, right?
Yeah,
What happened?
it's called man business.
What began as a clash of bars quickly spiraled into something far more personal. 50 Cent pulled T.I.'s family into the spotlight, transforming what should have been lyrical competition into a viral spectacle nobody saw coming. Fans watched in disbelief as boundaries crumbled, reputations took hits, and the conflict escaped the music arena for territory far more volatile. But every explosion has an ignition point. To understand how this firestorm erupted, you've got to rewind to the very beginning, because this didn't appear overnight like a baseless online whisper without proof. The friction between 50 Cent and T.I. had been simmering quietly for years. Much of it centered on whispers of a Versus showdown that ultimately never happened. For anyone unfamiliar, Versus was the live-stream hit battle phenomenon that captivated hip-hop audiences throughout the pandemic. It delivered unforgettable face-offs, sparked endless Instagram debates over discographies, and at one time, the prospect of 50 Cent squaring off against T.I. felt inevitable. According to Tip, this wasn't internet gossip or fan fiction circulating on social media. He insists the idea was discussed directly between them in person. T.I. says both artists were in Los Angeles handling television ventures when the Versus topic surfaced organically, almost like destiny pointing them toward their next move. We really spoke about it back there, face to face. This wasn't some random call out of nowhere. And Tip didn't leave the details murky either. He outlined the entire scenario, describing how the discussion unfolded, how mutual understanding was reached, and how he volunteered to make the first public move to ignite momentum. I remember asking, "How you feel about making this happen?" He looked back like, "You serious about that?" I said, "Absolutely." Then Tip elaborated on the strategy. He told 50 he'd be the one to step forward first, stir conversation in the streets, and get anticipation bubbling among fans before 50 emerged to validate the plan publicly. Simple execution on paper. Clean rollout. No hidden agendas, no theatrics.
I said, well, I'm gonna jump out there first, and then you just gonna jump out there and we'll line it up. And he said, all right.
But here's where the whole thing went wrong. According to T.I., when he stepped out there and started putting the word out publicly, 50 Cent switched up, acted like he ain't know what was happening, like all those conversations were a figment of Tip's imagination or something.
When I jump out there, like he ain't know what.
And according to Tip, that was the exact instant everything shifted. Not because 50 declined the battle, rejection would have been easy to accept. If 50 had simply looked him in the eye and said, "Nah, that's not my move," Tip insists there would have been no issue. Real talk earns real respect. Shake hands, go separate ways, no hard feelings. But what cut deeper was the perception that 50 embraced the idea in the moment, nodded along like it was locked in, only to act brand new when the spotlight arrived. To Tip, that wasn't hesitation, it felt calculated. That wasn't miscommunication. It felt like disloyalty. And in his eyes, that quiet switch-up became the first crack in what would soon unravel into full-blown betrayal.
Then that's what it was about. I don't even want to, man, cause now I question you.
Now, understand this clearly. Tip didn't toss that story out once and let it fade into the algorithm. This wasn't a slip of the tongue on some random interview. No, he doubled down. He took it everywhere. From sit-downs to high-profile platforms like the $1 million worth of Game, he repeated it with conviction, with edge, with no hesitation in his voice. And when he spoke on it, there was no gray area. No political answers. No, maybe one day. He looked straight into the cameras and made it plain. He had zero desire to ever stand on a stage opposite 50 Cent. No Versus. No reunion. No nostalgia play. As far as he was concerned, that door wasn't cracked. It was welded shut.
I don't want to stand on stage with him. I had no interest in standing on stage with that.
And then Tip dropped the line that set the tone for everything that followed. The line that lit the fuse on what was about to become a full-blown saga. If you know even a shred about 50 Cent, about how Curtis Jackson operates, you already know exactly what that meant. Because Curtis isn't the type to just sit back when someone declares, "I don't respect you," on a mic, on a podcast, or anywhere else. That's never been his style. Never has, never will. And if you check the history, the receipts go back decades. Let's be real. 50 Cent has been confronting people head-on his entire career, and the pattern is crystal clear. Does somebody talk slick? He fires back. It escalates. Someone ends up exposed, defeated, or humiliated. That's the blueprint. That's the DNA of every beef he's ever been in. From the Ja Rule war in '99 to the Game fallout in the mid-2000s, from Rick Ross to Puffy, to anyone bold enough to cross Curtis Jackson 3, the script is always the same. And what makes it wild is how some of these conflicts ignited over the smallest things. Take Rick Ross, for example. Tony Yayo, 50's Day One G-Unit soldier, broke it all down on Club Shay Shay, how a seemingly tiny remark snowballed into a headline-grabbing war.
Ross and 50, right? Ross is not, they got a beef because 50 didn't say what up to him. That's just a new.
That's all it took, fam.
A single missed cue at an award show, and suddenly what should have been a fleeting headline turned into years of lyrical warfare, passive-aggressive jabs, and internet chaos. That's the ecosystem we're living in. So when T.I. stepped up on national platforms and openly declared he had zero respect for 50 Cent, there wasn't a chance in hell that slide under the radar.
None.
Zero. As expected, 50 Cent immediately stormed Instagram, barking at T.I. to keep my name out your mouth, while dragging Atlanta artists for failing to show loyalty. And just like that, a simmering conversation about a music battle transformed into a full-blown powder keg. The air changed. The energy shifted. And Curtis Jackson started pulling from the same arsenal he's been reaching into for over 25 years whenever someone decides to poke the bear. Because here's what people need to understand about Fif. When this man locks on, he doesn't just come at you. He comes for everything surrounding you. Your career, your reputation, your history, your secrets, and yes, your family. He did it to Rick Ross, posting videos with Ross' baby mama. He did it to Puffy, stirring up documentaries exposing private moments. And now, in February 2026, he was about to take aim at T.I. in the most personal, ruthless, and below-the-belt way imaginable. This brings us to the moment that detonated the situation entirely. The moment a rap spat became a family war. On February 22nd, 2026, 50 Cent pulled a move that sent the internet into full-blown meltdown mode. And honestly, if you know how Curtis Jackson operates, you should have seen it coming the second things went personal. But before we get into that, you need to know exactly who we're talking about when we say King Harris's mom. Because Tama, Tiny Harris, isn't just T.I.'s wife. She isn't some random bystander dragged into a beef she had nothing to do with. Tiny Harris is a Grammy-winning powerhouse from the legendary R&B group Xscape, a group moving units and selling out arenas back when half the people commenting online weren't even born yet. She and T.I. married in 2010, building a family that includes their son, King Harris, born in 2004. Tiny carries her own legacy, accolades, and empire, completely separate from whatever mess was unfolding between her husband and Curtis Jackson. And that's why what 50 did next caused the internet to collectively lose it. On February 22nd, 2026, 50 Cent posted a wild, unflattering photo of Tiny on his Instagram. And when I say unflattering, that's me being diplomatic. The image showed Tiny performing in a revealing outfit, her skirt hiked in a way designed to embarrass her and hit T.I. where it hurt. The caption? Pure Curtis energy. Keep my name out of your mouth, he doubled down. The response was instantaneous, loud, chaotic, and undeniable. Media outlets like Hot New Hip Hop and Complex called it out immediately, labeling the move as personal, messy, and violating long-standing, unspoken hip-hop rules. You know the code. You can diss bars, question credibility, debate careers, but you don't drag a woman into a fight she didn't start. You don't touch someone's family. But Curtis Jackson doesn't play by anyone's rules. That's the DNA that built his empire. For him, no ground is sacred. No territory is off-limits. And that mindset makes him one of the most dangerous figures to clash within hip-hop history. Enter King Harris. Because if you thought posting Tiny's picture was the explosive moment, you're dead wrong. That was just the fuse. The actual detonation came from T.I. and Tiny's son, King Harris, born August 2004. A young rapper who's grown up confrontational, fearless, and in the public eye. Reality TV, fame, drama, he's seen it all. And when he caught wind of what 50 posted about his mother, he didn't hesitate. No pause. No consultation. He went live on Instagram and unleashed a raw, profanity-laced tirade defending Tiny. And what did the king say? Unforgiving. He didn't just attack 50 Cent the rapper or 50 Cent the mogul. He went after Curtis Jackson himself. Curtis Jackson the orphan. Curtis Jackson the son of Sabrina Jackson, who died tragically in a suspicious fire when Curtis was just 8. On camera, King dared 50 to dig up his mother, even posting a tombstone with the caption, "This is where your mama is." The insults were so vile, I can't repeat them here. Then King drew the contrast he wanted the world to see. Tiny, a legend, a queen, a Grammy winner, versus 50's late mother, cruelly dragged into the narrative. The clips went nuclear within hours, racking up millions of views across Instagram and YouTube, leaving audiences stunned that a 21-year-old could hit so hard on live stream. And, as always, the internet split instantly. Some cheered King, saying he had every right to defend his mother like that. Others condemned him for attacking a deceased woman, claiming that line should never be crossed. One commentator perfectly captured the absurdity, how a single post could spiral into a full-blown war in mere hours, dragging family, history, and legacy into the fray.
Fouls on everybody, okay? Like, how did we get here from a versus battle?
And that's dead on the money, because somehow in the span of just a few days, we went from two OGs debating about a music competition to dead mothers, tombstone pictures, and family members getting dragged all through the digital mud.
Wanted 20 songs versus 20 songs. Now we got people, being called federal informants
and the families. That's the piece that caught everybody off guard.
and people's wives and mothers being insulted. Like, how did all this escalate so quick?
Now here's the thing. Whether you respect it or not, 50 Cent didn't match King Harris blow for blow. He didn't go live screaming into his phone. Number 20-minute emotional tirade. That's not Curtis Jackson's play. Instead, he did what he's done for over 2 decades when someone comes at him hot. He weaponized the absurd. He trolled. Pure, surgical, untouchable trolling. First move? A Pepe the Frog meme dropped on Instagram, captioned with a single, simple LOL. No words. No speeches. Just a cartoon frog mocking the young bull. That was it. That one move. Devastating. Because if you've been watching Fifth's career, you know exactly what that said. You're not even worth my energy, lil bro. But then came the clip that truly shook the timeline. The one that made people lean in, mouths open, saying, "Oh, this is demon time." 50 Cent shared an AI-edited video from the 2006 movie ATL, a film that originally starred T.I. himself. But Curtis wasn't just posting nostalgia. No, he deep-faked his own face onto a character who confronts a young kid in the scene. And the dialogue? Sharper than any diss track, aimed like a laser straight at King Harris. Every line, every gesture in that clip wasn't just trolling, it was a warning. A statement. A reminder that this isn't just a social media spat. This is a war, and Curtis Jackson always plays at a level that makes everyone else feel like pawns in his game.
What's up, man? I ain't heard from you in a while.
The AI version of Fifth just slides up on this young dude. Mad casual, checking in like an OG who ain't seen his little homie in a minute. Real nonchalant with it. And then the conversation shifts to something way more poignant.
Remember what I told you, right?
Yeah,
What happened?
it's grown man business.
Grown man business. That was the whole message wrapped up in 4 words. Fall back, little bro. This ain't your lane. This ain't your weight class. Stay in your place. And then the clip wraps up with a finisher that was pure comedy and pure menace at the same time.
Ooh, got your ass. Scared.
The caption? Simple. Grown man, boy. And just like that, 50 Cent had done it again, weaponized AI, flipped a movie T.I. himself starred in, and sent a message that was equal parts savage, hilarious, and quietly menacing. Some called it next-level trolling. Others called it creepy, even unhinged. But here's the real point. Everybody was talking about it. And that's always the game with Fifth. Winning the moral argument? Optional. Owning attention? Mandatory. And in that arena, Curtis Jackson has never been beaten. Now, you might have thought the chaos would taper off. Maybe after the Pepe meme, the deepfake video, and King's explosive rant, the heat would die down, both sides would step back, and sanity would return.
Nah.
If that's what you thought, you don't know these people. The fire was only getting started. T.I. himself slid into the comments under 50's original tiny post, and his words were exactly what you'd expect from a husband whose wife just got dragged across the internet in front of millions. He wrote something wild, poetic, and unforgettable, twisting absurd imagery into a message that said, loud and clear, "I'm 100% behind my family, no questions asked." And he didn't stop there. Tip took to his Instagram stories, publicly backing King with posts like, "You can win, because you're a good man, a good dad, a good person." But T.I. is an MC before anything else. And like any true rapper, when smoke hits, he went straight to the lab. He cooked up a track called War, a lyrical missile aimed squarely at 50 Cent. Every bar targeted Curtis' character, his history, and his reputation, delivered with the razor-sharp precision that reminded listeners why T.I. has stayed relevant for over 20 years. Commentators watching the chaos unfold weren't just analyzing the feud. They were applauding Tip, giving him flowers for still spitting fire and commanding attention after decades in the game.
Boy, T.I. has never lost his rapping mojo. You hear?
And that's the gospel truth right there. Whatever you think about the man personally, whatever opinions you have about his decisions outside of the booth, when T picks up that pen and gets in his bag, the results speak for themselves every single time.
Just didn't care for whatever reason, but Dime Trap and the Libra and Us or Else and Trouble Man, Heavy as the Head, all those were dope out.
But the reality is folks hadn't been checking for tips like that in recent years. The culture had kind of moved on, as it tends to do. But now, because of this whole chaotic situation, people were locked back in and paying attention.
I has never slacked lyrically or musically. Y'all just cared now, and I'm actually happy y'all do.
Meanwhile, King Harris wasn't even close to done. That young man was just getting warmed up. On February 23rd and 24th, he came back swinging harder than ever. He unearthed a 2004 court clip showing 50 Cent admitting on the stand that he'd assaulted 3 women at a concert. King captioned it coldly, "All you do is apply pressure to females. Bring that smoke to the chimney. Just getting started." And he didn't stop there. Over Instagram stories, King unleashed what outlets described as a full-on dissertation, a meticulous compilation of Curtis Jackson's most controversial, humiliating, and headline-grabbing moments. The hits were relentless, getting shot 9 times, taking a loss in the Kanye West graduation sales war, beefs with nearly every rapper of note, domestic scandals, his Trump controversies, and the estrangement from his eldest son, Maris. King delivered it all like a prosecutor in a courtroom, presenting receipts, stacking evidence, and making sure the jury of public opinion couldn't ignore a single detail. Then King crossed a line that made even longtime supporters uneasy. He targeted 50 Cent's younger son, Sire, posting a photo of the boy sitting on Curtis' lap with the caption, "You think you're raising a man by having him sit in your lap as a teenager? That's a sir." That moment changed the game. Until then, this war had been between adults, or at least willing participants. Dragging a child into it, someone completely innocent, instantly made people uncomfortable, even those who'd been riding with King from the jump. But underneath the chaos, there was a deeper, almost unsettling layer to this feud, a conversation about culture, generational differences, and how conflict is expressed. You had 50 Cent, a man in his 50s, deploying memes, AI deepfakes, and cold, calculated trolling, surgical, emotionless, precise. Every post was a chess move, never a shout, never a flare-up. And then you had King Harris, 21, raw and unfiltered on Instagram Live, pouring out emotional explosions, tears, fury. Every reaction felt human, vulnerable, and uncontrollable. 2 completely different strategies are playing out on the same battlefield. One calculated, one combustible. One commentator perfectly captured the tension everyone was feeling. Watching the same war unfold from 2 entirely separate worlds, you could feel the cultural and generational collision reverberating across every screen, every timeline, every conversation.
Going back and forth in the studio, cool, but when it starts going left and right, it's like,
And then the real point got made about why the whole situation felt so wrong to so many people, because it stopped being about music a long time before we got to this chapter.
Honestly, what his wife got to do with anything? You know, the family thing. It's just weird. Them 2 brothers got a problem.
That was the vibe the majority of folks were on. This should have stayed between T.I. and 50 Cent. 2 legends with decades of history and enough classic records between them to shut down a whole festival. Instead, it became about wives, dead mothers, innocent kids, and tombstone memes plastered all over the internet for the world to gawk at.
But the moment you bring somebody's family into it, it gets crazy. So I totally understand why King went up.
And that's really where we end up with this tangled mess. Because at the core, both sides have points that hit, and both sides cross lines that can't be ignored. 50 Cent had no business putting that picture of Tiny in front of the world. She wasn't involved in this beef. She didn't utter a word against him. She was pure collateral damage, a pawn thrown into a chess match between 2 men who should have kept the smoke strictly between themselves. And King? Any son would be furious seeing his mother dragged like that. His anger was valid. But the moment he started targeting a man's deceased mother, a woman taken from this world when Curtis was just a boy with no control over the situation, that's a wound that never fully heals. Picking at it publicly on the internet, in front of millions of viewers? That's not defending your family, fam. That's weaponizing someone else's deepest trauma for content. By February 25th, King escalated even further, dropping a diss track aimed squarely at burying 50 Cent, his foot glued to the gas, making it crystal clear he had no intention of slowing down anytime soon. And 50 Cent? True to form, he remained icy, unshaken on the surface. While King turned up the heat, Curtis kept his eyes on business, Broadway ventures, media moves, all while effortlessly reposting podcast clips and memes that clowned both King and Tiny. No sweat, no visible reaction. Just classic fifth behavior. Calm on the outside, laser-focused, always watching, always ready to strike back when the moment calls for it.
You got a notification or you did something to me that made me feel like I had to get you, I wouldn't stop.
And that right there is the line between entertainment and something way, way darker than rap bars and Instagram posts.
You see what I'm saying? Because then we stopped the rap. Done rapping, we start doing something else.
Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed watching this video, click on one of the boxes playing on your screen to watch more similar content.